Hey everybody, so this one might be a little bit of a longer one, but we're going to try to get through it. This one is going to be Numbers 16 through 19, Korah's Rebellion and God's Authority. So if you have your Bibles, open them up and we will start. I'm using the Orthodox Study Bible as I've been using this entire time, so here we go. So, chapter 16, Korah's Rebellion. So 16 verses 1 through 3. Now Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, and Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, sons of Reuben, spoke and rose up before Moses with some of the children of Israel. 250 of the children of Israel, rulers of the congregation, chosen members of the council, and men of note. They gathered against Moses and Aaron and said to them, "Let it be understood by you that all the congregation are holy ones, and the Lord is in them. So why then do you exalt yourselves above the congregation of the Lord?" So, if you were with us for chapters 14 through 15, the narrative continues here. Korah of Levi, Dathan, Abiram, and On of Reuben have revolted against Moses and gathered 250 men or so. And this is not a precise number. We talked about this before. Numbers are not always precise in the Old Testament. And some are prominent members. Korah is a Levite and declares that they're rebelling because they claim that Moses and Aaron are exalting themselves when all of Israel, my bad, are holy ones. So Korah's argument here is that all Israelites are holy and God's people, and he speaks to all of us. So why do you, Moses and Aaron, get to be the leader and high priest? St. Jude will reference this later in the future in Jude 11. You can go read that and look at that. So it is true that God called all of Israel to be holy and a kingdom of priests, Korah and his rebels included. However, God also clearly designated certain people for certain roles for Israel. So there is a hierarchy and a structure to uphold. Ultimately, what Korah is arguing is to assert what and who God appointed. So we're going to continue. There we go. Oh, hold on. I have lost this real quick. Fixing this. Hold up. Okay, sorry. Verses 4 through 14. So when Moses heard this, he fell on his face and he spoke to Korah and his company, saying, God examines and knows those who are his and who are his holy ones, and he brings them to himself, and those he chooses for himself he brings to himself. Do this, take censers, Korah and all his company, put fire and incense in them before the Lord tomorrow. It'll be that the man the Lord chooses is the holy one, and let this be sufficient for you, O sons of Levi. So Moses said to Korah, Hear me, you sons of Levi. Is this a small thing to you that the God of Israel separated you from the congregation of Israel to bring you near to himself, to serve the liturgies of the Lord's tent, and to stand before the congregation to serve them? And that he brought you near, you and all your brethren, the sons of Levi with you? Are you seeking the priesthood also? Thus you and all your company brought together are against God. Furthermore, who is Aaron that you murmur against him? Then Moses sent to call Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab. But they said, We will not come up. Is this a small thing you brought us up out of the land flowing with milk and honey to kill us in the desert and set yourself over us as a ruler? Even if you bring us into a land flowing with milk and honey and give us inheritance of field and vineyards, you'd put the eyes out of these men. We will not come up. So Moses shows his humility here and tells Korah that God chooses whom he appoints. So he lets Korah and his people come and, quote, be priests, end quote. God calls out Korah and the Levites and asks them why they want this role if they were already given a special role as a tribe of Levi. So, like, he's basically saying, You got this, and now you want the priesthood of Aaron too? So God called Korah and them to a role, and now they're demanding more, and to usurp that role from someone God appointed. So Moses calls up Dathan and Abiram, and they immediately accuse Moses of stupid things, acting like he's some petty tyrant. So you could kind of say that they're suffering from demons and also Moses derangement syndrome. Um, so verses 15 through 30. Then Moses was very heavy of spirit and said to the Lord, May you pay no attention to their sacrifice. I haven't taken a desirable object from any of them, nor have I harmed any of them. Then Moses said to Korah, Sanctify your company and be ready tomorrow before the Lord, you and they, as well as Aaron. Let each take a censer, put incense in it, bring a censer before the Lord, 250 censers, both you and Aaron, each with his censer. So every man took his censer, put fire in it, laid incense, and stood at the doors of the tent of testimony with Moses and Aaron. Thus Korah gathered all his company against them at the door of the tent of testimony. Then the glory of the Lord appeared to all the congregation. The Lord then spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, "Separate yourselves from among the congregation, and I will destroy them at once." Then they fell on their faces and said, "O God, the God of the spirits of all flesh, if one man sinned, will the Lord's anger be on all the congregation?" And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the congregation, saying, Withdraw from around Korah's company." Moses then rose and went to Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel went together with him. Then he spoke to the congregation, saying, "Get away from the tents of these callous men. Touch nothing of theirs, lest you perish together with them in all their sin." So they got away from around Korah's tent, and Dathan and Abiram went and stood at the doors of their tents with their wives, children, and their little ones. Then Moses said, "By this you'll know the Lord sent me to do all these works, and they aren't for myself. If these men should die naturally, like all men, or they're visited by the common visitation of all men, then the Lord hasn't sent me. But the Lord will show by a sign from heaven that opening its mouth, the earth shall swallow them down with their houses, tents, and everything belonging with them, and they'll go down alive into Hades. Then you know these men provoked the Lord." So what's happening here? So Moses goes to God about all this. God tells Moses, let it happen. He'll choose who serves. So God tells Moses, Aaron, and company to separate from Korah and the rebels, and then he'll destroy them. So Moses and Aaron still try to intercede for Korah and the rebels and have God spare them. They even go so far as to warn Dathan and Abraham's people. So, I mean, what else can you do? They're trying. They're trying to save these people. They're not helping themselves, you know. So, and if they're not what God wants, they're literally going to be going to Hades, Sheol, the underworld. Like, not good. Um, so verses 31 through 35. Now, as he finished speaking all these words, the ground split apart under them, and the earth opened and swallowed them down with their houses, and all the men with Korah, and all their tents. So they and all with them went down alive into Hades, and the earth covered them. And they perished from the midst of the congregation. Then all Israel around them fled at their cry, for they were saying, "Let the earth also swallow us down." Fire also came out from the Lord and consumed the 250 men offering incense. So we see here Korah and all the unrepentant rebels get swallowed alive by the ground and die. So all 250 who offer incense were consumed by holy fire like Nadab and Abihu. So we got death by holiness happens here. And of interest, you'll notice later in the Psalms that we have a lot of them having been written by the sons of Korah. So some of Korah's people do survive and are preserved in the Psalms. That experience when they were rebelled and then repented, at some point realizing that they were doing wrong and decided not to follow Korah. So some of them did survive. They didn't all get destroyed. Chapter 17, God confirms Aaron as high priest. All right, so chapter 1 through 15, chapter 17, verse 1 through 15. Now the Lord spoke to Moses and to Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, and said, "Take up the copper censers out of the midst of those burned up, scatter the strange fire there, so as to sanctify the censers of those sinners, even the censers of the men who sinned at the cost of their lives, and make them into beaten plates, as a covering for the altar, so they might be brought before the Lord and sanctified, to become a sign to the children of Israel." Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, took the copper censers that those burned up had bought, and added them as a covering for the altar as a memorial to the children of Israel, that no outsider who isn't of Aaron's seed should put incense before the Lord and be like Korah and his insurrection, as the Lord said by the hand of Moses. The next day the children of Israel murmured against Moses and Aaron, saying, "You killed the people of the Lord." Now it happened when the congregation regrouped itself against Moses and Aaron, they hastened to the tent of testimony, and the cloud covered it, and the Lord's glory was seen. Then Moses and Aaron entered the front of the tent of testimony, and the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, "Get away from the midst of this congregation, and I'll destroy them at once." So they fell on their faces, and Moses said to Aaron, "Take the censer, put the fire in it from the altar, throw incense on it, carry it quickly to the camp, make atonement for them. For wrath has gone out from the Lord's face, and it's beginning to strike the people." So Aaron took it as Moses commanded, and ran into the assembly. The plague had already begun among the people, so he threw in the incense and made atonement for the people. And he stood between the dead and the living, and the plague ceased. Now those who died in the plague were 14,700 people, besides those who died because of Korah. And Aaron returned to Moses at the door of the tent of testimony, and the plague ceased. So what happens here? They collect all the censers, scatter their incense, purify the censers. Then they beat the censers and put this as a covering over the altar. So you do this as the Lord commands because the Lord wants this to be an object lesson to remind the priesthood about Korah, and that there are any attempts to usurp the role and responsibility God gives the priest. This is also to tell the priesthood that we will have to all give an account. So the next day after this, the Israelites are accusing Moses and Aaron of murdering Korah and the rebels. So false accusations. They're also suffering from Moses and Aaron derangement syndrome, apparently, aka demonic influences. God again says he'll destroy, and so they both intercede for Israel yet again. Like, do not give them what they deserve, God, please. I mean, this is just showing how saintly they are trying to be. They're trying to do their best with Israel, and Israel's just you know is what it is. Um, Untrustworthy of God, untrusting of God, I should say. Moses has Aaron go and grab incense and publicly intercede again for Israel and ask God for mercy. And this is also that all of Israel will see Aaron, high priest, offering to God an intercession to try and plead to God for mercy. This also shows Aaron is for God and for Israel and is not their enemy. Aaron does so and stands between the living and the dead. God relents of the plague, and 14,700, not a precise number, die. This incense also atones for their sins and purifies them. No blood or killing an animal required for this. So, sorry, penal substitutionary atonement, people. You cannot kill an incense to make a sacrifice. Just does not work. Um, so, verses 16 through 28. After this, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and get a rod from them, a rod from each of their fathers' houses, from all the rulers. According to their fathers' houses, 12 rods. Write each man's name on his rod. You'll also write Aaron's name on the rod of Levi, for there's one rod that should be given according to the tribe of their fathers' houses. Then you'll put them in the tent of testimony before the ark of testimony, where I'll be known to you. So it will be the man I choose, his rod will blossom. Thus I'll remove the murmurings of the children of Israel who murmur against you. And Moses spoke to the children of Israel, and each of the rulers gave him a rod apiece, for each ruler according to their father's houses, 12 rods, and Aaron's rod was in the midst of them. Moses then put the rods before the Lord in the tent of testimony, and it came to pass on the next day, Moses entered the tent of testimony, and behold, Aaron's rods for the house of Levi sprouted and put forth buds, and had produced blossoms and yield ripe almonds. So then Moses brought out all the rods from before the Lord to all the children of Israel, as they looked, and each man took his rod. The Lord said then to Moses, Bring Aaron's rod back before the testimonies as a sign to the sons of the disobedient, and let their murmuring cease from before me, lest they die. So Moses did thus, and as the Lord ordered him, so he did. So the children of Israel spoke to Moses, saying, Behold, we're utterly destroyed, we're ruined, we're consumed. Whoever touches the tent of the Lord dies. Shall we utterly die? So here we have God has all 12 tribes of Israel give Moses a rod, and the rods are a symbol of authority and used for shepherding and herding. So this was common for nomadic tribes to use. It's also a disciplinary tool. For Levi's rod, Aaron's will be that rod. You can think of Psalms 23 with this, perhaps. So they put all the rods in the tent by the ark, and the man God chooses, he'll make that rod blossom and bloom. And this is an impossible thing. It's a miracle because this is a dead piece of wood, obviously. So Aaron's rod buds and blossoms. He's God's high priest, and it produces fruit. A dead stick of wood produces life, much like the dead wood and cross produced life through the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. This is typology here. Aaron has the authority, and now Israel needs to quit this apostasy and stop trying to usurp the high priest of his God-given authority. Now the rod is put here with the Ark of the Covenant next to it, not in it. And the chapter ends with Israel still not getting the lesson God is trying to teach them, unfortunately. So now, chapter 18, duties of Levites and tithe laws. So, verses 1 through 7. Now the Lord spoke to Aaron, saying, You and your sons and your father's houses with you will bear the sins of holy things, and you and your sons with you will bear the sins of your priesthood. You'll also bring your brothers, the tribe of Levi, tribe of your father, to yourself, and they'll be joined and added to you and minister liturgically with you, and your sons with you before the tent of testimony. They'll perform your guard duties and the duties of the tent, but they won't come near the holy vessels or the altar lest they die. They and you also. They'll be joined to you and perform the guard duties of the tent of testimony. and all the liturgical services of the tent, but an outsider will not come near you. Thus you'll perform the guard duties of the holy things on the altar, so there may be no more wrath on the children of Israel. Behold, I took your brethren the Levites from the midst of the children of Israel as a gift given to the Lord to minister liturgically in the tent of testimony. Therefore, you and your sons with you will take care of your priesthood according to all the manner of the altar and within the veil, and you'll minister liturgically as the gift of your priesthood. But the outsider who comes near shall be to death. So, this narrative semi continues. It explains the duties of the Levites and the priesthood. God tells Aaron they're going to bear the sins of the holy things. Will they be punished then? No. How could they be punished for the sins of holy things? Aren't holy things inanimate objects? Can inanimate objects sin? Well, the answer is yes and no, actually. We as moderns often think of sin as always being some legal transgression, but this is not the proper definition. So sin singular is a force of power. Sins plural are the effects. So if sin is seen, for example, as a disease, then sins are the symptoms of that disease. You should think of sin and sins more like a germ or a spore. It can get all over and infect everything it touches. People and even objects can be contaminated with it, and it's hard to get rid of. Now, maybe remember Leviticus 16, and if you don't, go back to it on my podcast here. There's a way the priesthood is able to manage and purify all these areas, the entire place, the spaces inhabited, and all the material items and people around, and sanctify all of it. This is the context of Numbers 18, verses 1 through 7 here, as Leviticus 16. So, now, with this authority established in Numbers 16 through 17, we see God reminds Aaron and the Levites of their duties and responsibilities of the priesthood. So God reminds the laity here as well that they're not going to try to usurp one another as Korah tried to. And guard duty, they're to make sure the holy place stays holy. This also protects those outside from death by holiness because God's presence is there. That can be very dangerous. Reiterations are made here that God consecrated the Levites and gifted them this role for a reason. So they need to perform this role, which is a privilege, and take it seriously. Okay, so offerings to support the priest, verses 8 through 19. And it's going to reiterate what we learned in Leviticus about the priest portions that he is to take. So, again, the Lord said to Aaron, I give you charge over the first fruits from all the things sanctified to me by the children of Israel, and I give these things to you and your sons with you as your share. This will be an eternal ordinance. Let this be yours from the sanctified holy things of the offering, from all their gifts, from all their sacrifices, from all their trespass offerings, from all their sin offerings, and from whatever they return to me. Let all these holy things belong to you and your sons. In the most holy place shall eat these things. Every male shall eat these things. It will be holy to you. This also will be a first fruit to you from their gifts, from all the deposit offerings of the children of Israel. I give these things to you and to your sons and daughters with you. This shall be an eternal ordinance. Everyone who is clean in your house shall eat these things. The first fruits of oil, wine, and grain, all their first fruits, whatever they may offer to the Lord. I give these things to you. Whatever first ripe fruit is in their hand, bring to the Lord is yours. Everyone who is clean in your house shall eat these things. Every devoted thing in Israel is yours. Everything that first opens the womb of all flesh, which they bring to the Lord from man the cattle, shall be yours. Nevertheless, the firstborn of men you'll redeem, and the firstborn of unclean cattle you'll redeem. Now, as for its redemption at the age of 1 month, the rate is 5 shekels, according to the holy shekel, that is 20 obols. But the firstborn of young bulls, firstborn of sheep, firstborn of goats, you will not redeem, they're holy. You'll pour out their blood towards the altar and offer their fat as burnt offering for a sweet aroma to the Lord. Their meat will also be yours, just as the breast of the deposit offering and the right shoulder are yours. Every choice part of the holy things which the children of Israel offer to the Lord, I give to you and your sons and daughters with you as an eternal ordinance. It's an eternal covenant or of salt before the Lord with you and your seed with you. Okay. So now, verses 20 through 24, tithes to support the Levites. So the tithe here is a tax of sorts to support the priesthood and keep it running when they eventually sell the land. So here's that verse. Moreover, the Lord said to Aaron, you'll have no inheritance in their land, nor will you have any portion among them. I am your portion and your inheritance in the midst of the children of Israel. Behold, I give the children of Levi all the tithes in Israel as an inheritance in return for their liturgical service. whatever they minister liturgically in the tent of testimony. However, hereafter, the children of Israel will not come near the tent of testimony lest they bear guilt and die. But the Levite himself shall minister liturgically in the tent of testimony, and they'll bear their sins. It'll be an eternal ordinance throughout your generation that in the midst of the children of Israel they'll have no inheritance. For the tithes of the children of Israel, whatever they may offer as a choice portion to the Lord, I give to the Levites as an inheritance. Therefore I say to them in the midst of the children of Israel, they'll have no inheritance. Okay, so now verses 25 through 32. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the Levites and say to them, If you receive from the children of Israel the tithe which I give you from them as your inheritance, remove it from the Lord's choice portion, a tenth of the tithe. Now your choice portion shall be reckoned to you as the grain from the threshing floor and as the choice portion of the winepress. You'll then remove the Lord's choice portions from all your tithes, whatever you might receive from the children of Israel, and you'll give them from the Lord's choice portion to Aaron the priest. From all your gifts you'll remove the choice portion from the Lord, and from all the first fruits which are sanctified from it. Therefore you'll say to them, when you remove the first fruit from it, then all the rest shall be accounted to the Levites as the produce of the threshing floor and as the produce of the winepress. You may eat it in any place, you and your households, for it's your reward for your liturgical service in the tent of testimony. You'll bear no guilt because of it, for you remove the first fruit from it. But you will not defile the holy things of the children of Israel, lest you die. So the Levites must also tithe to God, and this keeps it fair and just that they also give to God, just as the non-Levites do. It leaves them also unable to profit. And tell them that they shouldn't try to exploit this rule and attempt to do that. However, we know in the New Testament, sadly, they're going to fail to do this. And they'll do it in the Old Testament too. But especially in the New Testament, it's going to become a big deal. So, chapter 19, the red heifer. Okay, so verses 1 through 22. Now the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, This is the injunction of the law, whatever the Lord ordered, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and let them bring you a red heifer without blemish, in which there is no defect, and upon which a yoke has never been placed. You'll give it to Eleazar the priest, and he will take it outside the camp to a clean place. They'll slaughter before him, and Eleazar the priest shall take some of its blood, sprinkle it 7 times directly in front of the tent of testimony. It'll be burned in his sight. Its hide, flesh, blood, with its dung shall be burned. The priest shall then take cedar wood, hyssop, scarlet, cast them into the midst of the fire, burn the red heifer. After this, the priest shall wash his clothes, bathe his body in water, and come into the camp. The priest shall be unclean until evening. The one who burns it shall wash his clothes in water, bathe his body in water, and be unclean until evening. Then a man who is clean shall gather up the ashes of the red heifer and put them away outside the camp in a clean place, and they'll be kept in reserve for the congregation of the children of Israel for a water of sprinkling for purification. Then the one who gathers the ashes of the red heifer shall wash his clothes and be unclean until evening. It'll be an eternal ordinance to the children of Israel and to the resident alien who dwells among them. He who touches the dead body of any person will be unclean 7 days. He'll cleanse himself on the 3rd day, and on the 7th day he'll be clean. But if he doesn't purify himself on the 3rd day and on the 7th day, he won't be clean. Whoever touches the dead body of any person who has died and doesn't purify himself defiles the tent of the Lord. That soul shall be destroyed from Israel. He'll be unclean because the water sprinkling wasn't sprinkled on him. His uncleanness is still on him. Now, this is the law. If a man dies in a house, everyone who comes into the house, whoever is in the house, should be unclean 7 days, and every open vessel which has no cover fastened on it is unclean. Whoever in the open field touches one who is slain by a sword, who has died a natural death, or a bone of a man, or a grave, shall be unclean 7 days. For the unclean, they'll take some of the ashes of the burnt offering of purification, put them in a vessel, and pour running water on them. Then a clean man shall take hyssop and dip it in the water, and sprinkle it upon the house and upon all the vessels and the souls who were there, and upon the one who touched the human bone, or one slain by the sword, or the one who died a natural death, or the one who died in the grave. The clean shall sprinkle the unclean on the 3rd day and the 7th day, and on the 7th day he'll purify himself, wash his clothes, bathe in the water, and he'll be unclean until evening. But the man who's unclean and doesn't purify himself, that soul shall be destroyed from among the congregation, because he defiled the holy things of the Lord. And the water of purification wasn't sprinkled on him, he's unclean. This shall be an eternal ordinance for you. He who sprinkles water of purification shall wash his clothes, and he who touches the water of purification shall be unclean until evening. And whatever the unclean one touches shall be unclean, and the soul who touches it shall be unclean until evening. So, God tells Moses and Aaron a ritual that involves a red heifer that is to be slaughtered outside the temple or tent here and to burn it. Then they sprinkle the blood 7 times outside of the tabernacle. After the priest Eleazar, not Aaron, must purify himself and be unclean for a time. So Aaron's the high priest. Eleazar is not right now. Someone gathers the ashes to make holy water for purification purposes and to purify them from uncleanliness, because the ashes and blood are connected to this, and blood purifies because in blood is life. So sorry, dispensationalists, this is not helping or saying much to help you. It really doesn't have anything to do with anything. Um, Anyways, Jewish holy water is unnecessary today also because we have Christ. And in the church, we have holy water through baptism, chrismation, and through the bishop's blessing of the water now. So gives us unclean laws on how to purify oneself and those around them. Being cut off is not a sin. It's for a process period, and we all need these and then a time to reconcile and be back in the community. So again, like being unclean is not a sin in of itself. It just means that you're unclean and you need a time to be cleansed. So that is it for this one. That is chapter 16 through 19. And hold on one second. And so if you like this podcast, hit like and subscribe. You'll be helping me with the algorithm and more. So thank you. God bless. And next time we will be on chapter 20 and Numbers 20. So thank you. God bless you. I will see y'all later.